Hey everyone, this is Robert, and thank you for tuning in to Station Square. And you might have seen her on television. She's done a lot of audiobooks, and she's had a long, prolific career. So allow me to introduce Mary Sarah. I'm not gonna even try to. I have a habit of butchering last names, so I'm just gonna say Mary.
It's Mary Sarah, and that's absolutely fine. Hello, everyone. I'm really happy to be here.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for joining me on this lovely afternoon.
Yes.
So yeah, let's just get right to this. Oh well, first off, you could just let's do a little bit of an icebreaker because I kind of like to for the audience to get to know what work you've done and all that good jazz. So, um,
Yeah.
yeah, where can we hear you on, and what have you been doing as of late or just in general?
Oh my goodness. So almost everything I've done is on Audible right now, Amazon, Goodreads. I'm approaching 500 titles. Um, it's very exciting for me because I spend a lot of time in other worlds. So I sit here in this box in America, but I don't really live here. And that's what I love most about my work is I feel like I've had this really exciting career that I dreamed about, when I was a child, of thinking I lived in England and in France and was traveling to China. And I'm literally almost all the books I read, and narrate are based in other countries, primarily in the British Isles in Europe, and they're period pieces. So I time travel and I hop about all over. And I feel like it has been such an honor for me to do that. I am learning so much. I am just learning so much about everything and everyone and the way things happened and the way different voices. There's a lot of heroines that I narrate that weren't necessarily written into history. So it's kind of historical fiction, but yet what would it be if the heroine had the voice at that time where they didn't have the voice? So I just love the context that I'm able to find in some of this work.
Yeah, and it kind of sounds to me like you've been really fascinated and you've been just so enamored with just storytelling at a very young age.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I wrote my first play when I was 9, and I was actually performing professionally with a opera house by the time I was 12. So I was just really grateful, very drawn towards the classics, very drawn. I found Shakespeare about that time. And it almost kind of just was easier to talk Shakespeare than it was English. And I'm not I don't want to say that to like sound elite or anything, but it was really sometimes I struggle with just basic, vocabulary. But when I would speak Shakespeare, it just felt like it kind of flowed because I guess it was poetry, you know?
Totally. So this was kind of something that you've always wanted to do as a kid, or did you have like other I don't know, anything else kind of um like did you have like anything like other like day jobs or just anything that just kind of came to your mind like prior to acting?
Well, this is all I've ever wanted to be as an actor, and voice arts came later. Um, I'm a singer, and I have 5 albums released, and I work mostly in Canada and the USA, East Coast, in world music. But I but I am a clinical therapist. I'm an expressive arts therapist, and that was my day job up until about 10 years ago.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah. And I still work coaching people, and I welcome creatives or anybody who really wants support and, an ability to break through to the other side of things they're struggling with, because I feel like a lot of times we have these feelings of what we would like to do or manifest, but don't quite know how to get there. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I also wanted to ask you, I know that acting really lets you break free and you start um, exploring different avenues. Um,
Mhm.
So I kind of wanted to ask, like, what do you really enjoy the most? Do you prefer acting on stage? Do you like doing voiceover audiobooks? Like, what what's your bread and butter?
So my bread and butter is audiobooks. Film is my
Yeah.
passion. And so film, the movies I've been in, it's been an honor every single film because I feel there's been incredible clarity and mission for the project. Um, and I love complex drama that shows different aspects of characters that where you're not just playing one note and where you can really dive and a character might be extremely strong and then extremely vulnerable, and find things within themselves that they didn't know was there. I also want to say cinema to me is extremely profound at how it can affect you because it's so intimate. It actually is like when people are on screen, they're actually resonating with us. They're mirroring our experiences emotionally, and we're finding ourselves in them. And then I also feel you're adding music and you're adding like a whole other level of potency that I think we can get in audiobooks also, where when people are listening, they're feeling the emotions of the characters and they're feeling all these different things. So I love the intimacy of film and how holistic it is. It's like surrounds you and it envelops you and it holds you. Just love it. Just love going to all these other worlds. I don't know if I would be as prolific in audiobooks if I didn't do fiction. Like if I just did nonfiction, I don't know if I would find as much of me in it, but to find all these different characters in nonfiction is, I mean, in fiction is really exciting.
Yeah. How, like, I usually ask this on the show, but what are some of the biggest, like, I guess, changes that you've noticed in the industry? Like, I know we've been in a pandemic for like 3 years, so how do you, like, personally for you, how has the industry changed from, like, back from when you first started out and up to today, like, as we're currently speaking,
Yes,
as of this
I know.
recording? Yeah.
Yeah, this is going to sound strange, but I feel it has actually opened up because the pandemic provided this whole other skill set that people had to learn and understand about how to communicate in this virtual world. Right now, I'm working with three coaches where everything is teaching us how to do eco casting and online and self taping and upping our audiobook narration, and our auditions because I feel it's actually opened opportunity. I don't know how to describe it, but I almost feel it's leveled the playing field. When you'd walk into an audition room, there was a kind of us and them, the people watching you, the people behind. And I feel like that's just changing. I feel like there's a lot more, it's still, you're still in an audition, you're still online going in front of people, but it feels there's more, I don't know, empathy, more holism, more understanding. So that's just been my experience, and people may completely disagree with me, which is so fine because my experience has been I've had more exposure and more auditions and more opportunities in this virtual world than I have when I was having cold auditions.
Oh, okay. Are you still there? Oh,
We're
hello?
back. We're back. Yeah, we're back.
Okay, yeah. I don't know what just happened. But anyways, yeah. So with everything that you've done, I don't want to say that you expect to have this amount of like to book at least like be like one of the top like audible narrators and stuff like that, like getting at least to this point in your career. Like I don't want to ask like did you expect it, but the truth is nobody really like you start with something and it's like, oh wow, I how did this happen? Yeah, it's not like it's an overnight success, but it's like it's crazy on just how far you've grown and gotten, or like just how much better you've become as a person, as an actor, or doing anything in your career. So it's just kind of like, yeah, I just did something that I just was doing for fun, and now I'm doing this professionally. And to this day, you still have no idea how you actually got to that position, but it's so exciting. It's just amazing. Like, and it's just all about gratitude and, just with the opportunities you get, it's just the possibilities are just endless in an industry that is just really um turbulent, and is also like really just it can be exhausting, but it's also fulfilling and it's rewarding at the same time. That I can definitely say.
You got
Stay.
it. You got it. And I have to say that, so because I sang for so many years before I started this, I remember there was a pivotal point, and I'll share it. I was singing there was this inauguration of an African prince in New York, and one of my close friends was from Nigeria, and he said, "Will you come and sing for him?" So I went to the inauguration, and I was just really didn't even know what would sing, but I do songwrite, and I do a lot of chanting and melismatic singing and things like that. And I had several drummers with me, and he came up to me after and he said, "Your voice brings peace." And that was some kind of turning point for me. And then I had another colleague who said, "Have you ever thought of voiceovers?" But I literally had never thought of it because I was pretty embedded in music and in film. So this kind of came out of nudges from the universe. And I truly want to say to everyone listening is that it was a humble beginning of just like setting it up in my bedroom with this little microphone and this like I think a downloadable software. And I just made my own demos, and I was like, "Oh, that author looks good and that author looks good, and let me just upload this." And it started incredibly innocent. And I want to encourage anybody who has any impulse to do that, to just go ahead and share your voice. You actually, if you have any kind of equipment that you can really work with, or even go to a studio for a day and just, if you have any impulse to do this, just start.
Yep, 100% agree. And I usually don't like asking like what's your favorite da 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 da, but I will ask out of everything, like all the audiobooks, all the projects that you've done, um, what was the most fulfilling? Like which ones would you say that are like some of the most fun that you've done, and like that it really feeds you like emotionally or mentally, physically? And which are some of the ones that really just speaks to you on a personal level that you would say like, yeah, like wow, and then you listen back to it and you're like, wow, okay, yep, this
Mm,
is why I love doing this, this is why just I do this for a living, just stuff like that.
my goodness.
Inspiring inspiration. Yeah.
Well, that would be really hard because I would be shouting out different authors, and I love all the authors
Oh, for sure.
that I work with. I have done 35 books in the repertoire of Tamara Lee in historical medieval fiction, and that has been, I would say, a high point in terms of, I would say close to, I don't know, there's 25 to 40 characters a book. So if you just do the math, it's just really extraordinary, and it follows um, the Wolfrith family through this whole development of their becoming who they are. And I would have to say I love all historical fiction that I've done because it really sheds light on the dynamics of power and women and men and socio and economic divides and the royalty with those like on the East End. And so for me, I love things set in the British Isles. I love things that are showing everything that's unfolded throughout history. Um, there's, like I said, there's so many authors I'm thinking, and it would just like be shouting out to all of them, but really the historical fiction set in these different time periods that sheds light. Um, there was what was it called? The whole Spice Isles series I did that really shed light on slavery in the islands and how it was colonized by the British. And it was just, but everything to me comes back to how the author is reimagining it, reimagining it and bringing power to the heroines, but not sacrificing the true history, like not sacrificing what really happened, but also bringing these characters in that could alter it and change it and have different voices. So I would say those would be some of my favorite, the period pieces.
Yeah. So I know that you also are really skilled at dialects and you just really love culture. Would you say that it also enables you to provide a much stronger like characterization, like your performances are stronger based on your love of just all things life and nature, just etc.
I would, because all my streaming device, streaming services, I would say 80% is British or, you know, and that's kind of where I find the juice is just learning different dialects and cultures, and I would say foreign too. Any foreign films, French
So
films,
studying
Indian
life
films.
can help create richer characters, would you say?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes, and I feel like culture is so profound and languages are so profound. They can teach us so much. Absolutely teach us so much about ourselves and they're so rich, you know? So,
Yeah. So I know you mentioned earlier that you've been coaching, other actors and students. What is something that you really get out of it? What is something that you learn like from other students and why you love doing this? Like
mm,
just teaching and coaching, other people with
mm.
their respective journey.
I just love when somebody comes and they say this is what they want, and then knowing how to get there and knowing how to ask the right questions or encourage them in a way that sets something alight that maybe they couldn't do alone. So I love watching people be really happy when they leave the studio and be like, "Oh, I'm so glad that we did this." And um, I would say there's at least three people whose careers I launched that are now in voiceover almost like full time because of the demos we did, and that's exciting. It's not a lot, but it's exciting because I don't do it all the time, but I feel it's nice when somebody takes it and runs with it and then really creates a whole different world in income for themselves.
Yeah. And I know that you've been very active in a lot of awareness groups. And how has that been going for you so far with, donating to a lot of cares and causes and just helping the world with, just a lot of, because I know that with the world with today, with how it is right now, I know that something like this is especially important. So how is that going for you? Because I'm kind of curious, because I know that, cares and causes are, highly crucial at a time like this. So I'm just wondering how the whole journey's been for you, like at
Yeah.
least thus far. Yeah.
Well, I have to say that, you know, I feel that the times we're in are really quite critical, and I have been very affected by the situations, that I witness, that I see, that I hear, and the causes that I support, how they're also under distress and asking, they're needing more. And I feel sometimes I'm sad that I can't give more than I already am, but I want to. And yet, it's the needs are so tremendous. Like Médecins Sans Frontières, right now they're Doctors Without Borders, and they're in several of the countries that I support. And I literally have their newsletter on my table, and I just right now can't read it. I mean, I'm listening to the news, every evening, but right now I just can't open it, and I will. because I always do, and I always really absorb what's the reality in each day that's happening in the world. However, I just know that it, it will hurt, and my heart will hurt. And, so it's kind of, how is that going? Meaning, I'm kind of devastated by what's happening in the world. I'm kind of devastated. And I think we just have to keep doing whatever we can in the little space and circle we vibe in. And um, tears, I cry a lot. That helps.
Yeah,
So,
at least you bring it to I mean, at least you know when to, whenever you have to bring, like, whatever pain or whatever emotions that you're experiencing, you can apply it to your art, which is very therapeutic, if I say so
very.
myself. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness. Yes. And it's the therapist in me who wants to like turn it around and ask you questions.
Uh,
Like,
I mean, go right ahead. You know what? I
yeah,
hardly get this.
yes. So I love the art. I'm just like, so this podcast, and I love to know about you and your interest in doing a podcast and art. And you're a voice artist, you're an actor.
Yeah. I have my little, I don't know if you can see behind me, but yeah, with all these posters I got. But yes, I am a, what you call a, somebody who screams or just does noises for fun and money.
Oh, you're in
Mostly fun.
it's video games. You're forte like, is it
Like, I've done like a lot of character work. I've done a few video games.
okay?
I've done like animation. I haven't really done like, I'm actually still looking into like, commercials and audiobooks and all that stuff. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been up to as of late. If I'm not doing the podcast. Yeah, I'm just doing character stuff.
Oh, that's so
Doing
awesome.
commercial would be so, I would love to do commercials, like I really do.
Oh my goodness, you'd be so great at it because your voice is so, you've got this depth, but you also have this playfulness in your voice. I think you do great. And anime is hard. I've watched anime right? Where you have to like, you have to nail these sounds. You have to, right?
So the eight, I mean, it really helps if you have like a music
Mm,
background, because like the timing of the beats and stuff. But
mhm.
there's still a lot of work that goes into this. Like for anybody who says like, um, it's just dubbing something that was originally from like, um, anime that came out in Japan, and they're dubbing it in America. Like it's a lot more that goes into it than you think. Like I was watching a documentary like recently where like they're dubbing it from home, and there's a lot of audio engineering that's involved. There's actors that are doing it from their remotely, because before they were just going into a studio, and everybody's been doing it from home, which I know it's been having a lot more. I will say that VO has kind of been gaining more of a even bigger momentum. Like it's been really picking up steam after COVID. Everybody's been doing it from home, and it's proved to be, it has its own challenges. Don't get me wrong. Everything has their unique challenges and struggles and advantages. Like you don't have to face traffic and stuff, um, but yeah, there's a lot more that goes into this. Like it's hard work. Like I said, it is rewarding to see all that hard work really pay off. The biggest struggle, though, it's, you have to do all of this like auditioning. It pretty much is the job, and the hustling, like hustle culture and stuff. If I were to go about that, that's a whole separate podcast in and of itself. But yeah, you still gotta put in the work, grind, and it's not like the work comes to you. Like even if you have like an agent, or like if you're have booked with a union and stuff, you still gotta do the work, and it's not like you're just gonna sit there and let it come to you. Like
Yeah.
that's you still it never ends. It just never stops. Like if you book something, there's no guaranteed how long it's gonna last. Like if is it a pilot? Is it gonna be like picked up for a show that you find on television? You just never know. And also there's no telling how long you'll actually um maintain the gig before they move on to somebody else. It happens all the time. I was seeing a lot of posts on Twitter with voiceover artists that literally get replaced without being notified, and that's it happens a lot, and you know, it kind of sucks, but it's business, and I totally see where they're coming from. Even if it's not fair, it is a business, and I think that's something that not too many people really like take into account. Like, there's no guarantee. Whether I mean, one day you'll have a job, you'll be booking consistently, and then like a week or two, sometimes even months, spells, and it can be frustrating. It really, yeah.
Yes.
I just went off on a tangent.
It's okay. No, absolutely. And I think it's that, wow, how do we build resilience in that? And how do
Mhm.
we build, right? Because
Yeah.
it's really about having self-care and people you can talk to about that because it is very different with all that kind of sudden changes and that can be dramatic or hurtful and then just knowing how are you going to keep moving and putting your voice into the world because your voice is not my voice and I need your voice. You know what I mean? And so what people say is I need your voice, so it's
On
also
your voice.
well, trusting, really trusting that your voice belongs in the world and just to keep doing it, but still to be able to process the hurt and process what happens.
Oh, totally. And I'm totally off for like, mental health and everything that's been happening because this pandemic had really messed up a lot of yeah. It's been an experience to say the
Yeah.
least. I wanted to ask you, like, I know that you've been busy doing audiobooks and stuff like that, but what is something that you like to do, like outside of work? Like any fun facts or anything that, that you like doing, like how has it affected your day-to-day life, or just anything that you want to share? Like, what do you like to do outside of work?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm a yogini. I wouldn't say I'm a yoga teacher. I used to teach, but I just love the world of yoga. It's vast. Um, what I want to segue to is cooking. Like during the pandemic, I was one of those people who just dove in, and now I'm like totally about ethnic cooking. Like I'm determined to cook from every culture that exists. Like I'm just absolutely excited about it. So I got online with a cooking school, and I just love the explorations of cuisine and getting a lot more into that whole sense of what food means in terms of community and connecting. Um, and I also hike. I'm with a hiking club, and I have beautiful granddaughters, and I want them to feel strong in their world and in their body. So I'm constantly working with them to make sure that they feel okay in the world. So those are some of my other fun things.
Right on. Um, are you consuming, like, watching anything or reading that, you know, if you're not working, like, I mean, besides outside of, the stuff that you've done, like, are you watching or just doing anything? Like, what media are you consuming? Because that's also another huge, like, caveat of mine or downtime that
Ah,
I just like to binge media, like games, books, and, you know, shows
absolutely.
and everything. A little bit of everything.
Yeah, I am, but I don't know if I want to bore people with the list of what I'm watching.
Oh, come on, it's a podcast. Just share.
Okay, so there's Call
We're
the
all
Midwife.
nerds.
Yeah. There's Rings of Power, there's The Outlaws, there's Call the Midwife, Stranger Things. A lot of these things have already reached their conclusions. Oh my gosh, Bad Sisters. Like I literally can go on and on and on. I just love Welcome to Flatch. Like I just love all these creatives who are doing their own writing. The Marvelous Miss Maisel. Just yeah, I have a list and I just go through them and go through them and go through them each night. It's just
Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So I know that you're a member of SAG. I've asked this to people that work in the union. What was the whole process like? And what is some advice that you want to give? If you, for anybody who's considering about, applying for, SAG and the union royalties, or so to speak.
Yeah. Wow. So that's there's two answers to that. If you would have asked me pre-pandemic, it would be different than now. So I feel like the whole beauty of joining is having a union and having this wonderful community and a higher pay scale, like 2 to 3 times, right, as non-union or more. And then also that there's just this, you can get in the doors, you can get in these different doors. I think that's changed. I have non-union friends getting more film auditions than I am as SAG. So I think it's really changed. I really don't feel casting directors are looking the same way at talent as whether you're in the union or not in the union. I think it's changed. And that's been my experience. And they're saying, because we'll say non-union, I literally got cast in about 3 national commercials that were non-union, so I could not do them.
Mm, well,
So
yeah,
it's that whole thing of like, oh, if I was non-union, I'd be able to sign the contract. And
always something. Yeah, to consider and keep in mind. Yeah, that's a thought to munch on. I mean, I guess you could just also talk about like anything else that you may be working on that is not under NDA. Any last piece of advice, plug in your socials, and yeah, just anything that you want to close us out on.
oh my goodness. Well, um, presently I'm actually working with it's very exciting. I was just cast in a New York City premiere. It's called Uprooted, and it's a historical it's like a tone play, a mystical play about this woman who travels through time and meets all the gods and the goddesses and really finds out what are they trying to tell us. And Mother Gaia, my character, is very wounded and she's hurt, and I'm like I was sharing earlier, that's the way I truly feel right now when I look at the world and feel what's happening in the world. So that's in New York City, and it's with a company founded by Brazilian playwright Juliana Spinola called La Pacha Apapacha. And it's really exciting because it's an international cast. And so we're in rehearsals right now for that, and we're hoping to premiere that in the fall. Um, and and then I guess the other things that I'm excited about, there's another group of actors I'm working with just to create content and to really, they're all working actors in TV and theater, and we're wanting to create our own content as well. So those are the couple things that I'm really excited about. Uh, and in terms of socials, you can find me on Instagram, but I would prefer people just reach out through my website, or which is mary-sarah.com, or email, you know. And my email is on my website also. So yeah.
Nice. Would you like to do an outro?
Well, I just want to say this has been fantastic. It's been really exciting to talk about like the individual journeys of people, because the one thing I didn't mention is that being nominated for Silvis Award in a British dialect when I'm American, that just felt so unique and interesting. So what would want to say to people is that, whatever kind of special feeling you have about what you want to offer, don't overthink it. Just do it. Just share your voice, just share your talent, just share your gifts. Just do it. Just really do it. This is the time more than ever. I feel like we need people that are kind of heart led and creatively on fire, you know. And I want to thank you, Robert, because you're just a gem. I just love your energy and your spirit and your supportiveness, and I so appreciate it.
Anytime. And this shall be going up, if not probably this weekend. I'm really bad at, scheduling my own podcast stuff. So, yeah, expect to see this out soonish on like Spotify or whatever, YouTube, anywhere. So, thank you for watching, and and stick around for the next episode of Station Square. And this is Robert Jackson signing out. And until then, stay creative, folks. Love y'all. Stay safe out there. Stay healthy. And yeah, punch every day in the face. Go now. Bye.
Bye.